For far too long, the effective management of the customer's experience has been considered a soft skill. But today, successful companies recognize that the customer experience is king, or from my perspective, is queen. Welcome to CX Unplugged. I'm Gabrielle Gonzalez, your host, and in this series, you will hear from me and other industry experts about how prioritizing the customer experience led to amazing outcomes. Brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle Gonzalez. I've been in the multifamily housing business for 20 plus years. During that time, I've met lots of amazing people that I'm excited to introduce you to. I've led teams within a variety of asset classes, both on site and in the boardroom. One of the things that has always intrigued me and inspired me about the multifamily industry was the customer aspect of the business. So, about 5 years ago, I left my executive role in the corporate world and I started a company to explore just that. The first order of business was to redefine who today's customer really is. So that's the business that I got to. So in my podcast, CX Unplugged, we're going to examine who today's customer really is along a full spectrum. And we're going to explore also what providing service really is to those customer segments. Now, to start off, I want you to understand how I define service. And it's really not how I define. I stole it from one of my faves, Ron Kaufman. He wrote this book, Uplifting Service. You can see mine's pretty torn and tattered because I have been in and out and all around this book. But Ron Kaufman, he defines service as taking action that creates value for someone else. Say that again. Taking action that creates value for someone else. The key concept here is that if you're going to create value for someone else, the most important person in that equation is the someone else. They're the only one who can actually tell you if you have created any value. So let's pin that for a second and keep that to the side while we now examine who the customer really is in today's environment. You know, for far too long, we've been talking about the customer in our industry is just the resident. And while I don't disagree with that, not even one bit, the customer is absolutely the resident. But that's not all. And I think we're not on the right track if we don't recognize all the other customer segments. We have internal customers and we also have external customers. So the way I like to define customer as it relates to my podcast, and really as it relates to the way that I help other companies continue to drive success through a customer-centric focus, is to think of the customer as anyone you interact with as a representative of your company. So with that definition, the customer really could be, of course, it's the resident. Absolutely, it's the resident. You interact with them on a regular basis, whether you're in the office, whether you're a maintenance personnel, whether you're, in so many capacities. But that's not all. Another customer could be the colleagues that you interact with every single day, those colleagues that you work side by side with every single day. Those are your customer. You're representing your company as you interact with those people. It's important that you're continuing to uphold your company's core values and standards as you engage with those folks as well. Who else could the customer be? The customer can also be the UPS driver, for example. The UPS driver who delivers your packages to the property every single day. That's a customer to you. Those people will also share their experiences with their colleagues, their friends, their family. And in that regard, your representation of the company in their eyes, it kind of defines how the company will treat their customers, right? So it's important in that regard that you're also conducting yourself in the highest standards and maintaining your company's core values in those interactions. So who else is the customer? The customer is also, maybe it's the owner of your property, the person who's got the most financially at stake, right? That's another customer. So when you're engaging with that person or that group of people, you also want to be treating them like a customer as you represent your company to them. The customer could also be the contractors that you engage with on a regular basis, the people that are helping you to turn those apartments, the landscapers, the ones that are there helping you maintain the campus and the grounds. My point is, I want you to see that your interactions with each one of those segments, be it an internal customer like a colleague or an external customer like a resident or a contractor, really helps to drive that overall customer experience. So there's a whole segment of customers or a whole spectrum rather of customers that we're referring to as we go through my podcast, CX Unplugged. Getting back to what service is, actually delivering service, providing service to someone, as defined by Ron Kaufman. So service is taking action that creates value for someone else. So as you're thinking about the way to deliver service, right, you have to look at that and evaluate that through the eyes of your customer. And the customer, as we've just discussed, can be a full spectrum of individuals or groups as you are representing your company. So what we're going to examine in CX Unplugged in this podcast is how various people within our industry, some of those amazing folks that I talked about earlier that I've met over the many years in this industry, how they have really driven their success through a customer-centric focus, a focus on any one of those customer segments, and how they have focused on delivering service to those customer segments and how it's led them to success. But it's not always fun just to talk about success, right? Sometimes, we all make mistakes. And sometimes it's great if we can learn from others' mistakes as well. So in my segment, you'll also be hearing from me and other multifamily professionals about maybe some missteps that we've made along the way. And hopefully you can learn a little bit from those missteps, or maybe even get a chuckle out of some of them. And avoid making some of those mistakes in your own endeavors. So I hope that you will join me and tune in for CX Unplugged and through the Multifamily Media Network. I'm really excited to introduce you to some people, introduce you to some content, and share and get feedback. Thanks so much. Again, I'm Gabrielle Gonzalez with CX Unplugged and the Multifamily Media Network. CX Unplugged, where we have redefined who your customer really is. Join me next time to hear more missteps and masterful manifestations in the world of multifamily customer experience. Brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network.